it's Chrissy here. I have got a very long time in the coming. Another mystery tour. What we're looking at today is the death of a young gentleman in 1966 called Bobby Fuller. You've probably all heard the song I Fought the Law and the Law Won. Well, it was a hit single. He was an up-and-coming singer and he was making a name for himself along with his band, the Bobby Fuller Four. His single was soaring up the charts and it was receiving a lot of radio airplay. He was found dead in July 18, 1966 inside his parked car. Though the initial ruling was suicide, it was revealed that Fuller had been doused with gasoline and a gas can was located on the floorboard. Authorities believe the singer had died from inhaling the gasoline fumes, but he also had bruises and blood, and some blood was found on the seat of the car. Okay. While he had been dead for several hours. His car had only been parked in front of his Los Angeles apartment for a short period. So his car wasn't there for very long. He was dead for several hours longer than the time his car was parked in front of his property, his apartment. There's been a lot of speculator that the perpetrator was unable to set the car on fire before fleeing. Bobby Fuller was 23 years old. His death is clouded in suspicion and no formal arrest has ever been made. This is 1966, 55 years ago. There's every possibility that whoever did this, if they were young, is still alive and could still be charged. So, I can't see. There's other ways to commit suicide than dousing yourself in gasoline and choking on the fumes. Much more pleasant ways. Not that it's ever pleasant to be at the stage where you would consider taking your own life, but there are easier ways to do it. So the first question I want to ask, was Bobby Fuller suicidal? And while we're here, anyone watching this, if you ever have suicidal thoughts, please go to your computer, look up the helplines and places that you can talk to that are near you, the resources available to you if you are ever in such a desperate state and you do have those ideations or thoughts. Please reach out and get help. People will miss you. Okay? But anyway, I just thought I'd add that in. Was he suicidal? There's no reason for him to be. His career was on a roll, on a charge. No, he'd had some really good changes happening. You know? Destiny was really rolling in his favour. He'd had some fantastic, good fortune. The Wheel of Fortune was really dishing him up some good stuff. You might hear the odd grunt, that's just James. Temperance, no. He was in a very even place. He was happy with his life, happy with the band, happy with the way his career was going, happy with his family even. He was in a very even place. And of course here's this crown, good fortune peeking through the mountain of high achievement. He was heading towards those mountains of high achievement. Page of Cups. He was young. He was idealistic. He was full of ideas and inspiration. No. No, he was definitely was not in that state. You know, he was not in any way in a suicidal state. No. So if he didn't do this to himself, and you have to look at those things, who did it to him? I got the words band member went through my head. Now this is for entertainment purposes only. I don't know what happened to the other members of the band. But who did this to him then? Who beat him up? Who beat him up first? The 2 cards came out with that. Lovers, somebody close to him, somebody who had a major place in his world, somebody whose world was going to change because of Bobby's success. And that also somebody who was close to him. Somebody who he trusted as an angel, as an ally. Did he see this coming? Did Bobby even see this coming? No, I just get the Knight of Wands. It's like he's going happily along, he's living a charmed life, he's a charming young man, and the person was a charming person, somebody he felt he could put his trust in. You put your trust in your knights to fight for you and stand up for you. Did Bobby Fuller see it coming? The Ace of Cups, overflowing emotion, shock even. It's like, what? It's like this little Cupid here. They're watching the bird, and the bird's flying down to them, and they're like, oh, what a pretty bird. There's nothing to say that they're aware of anything that could be wrong happening around them. So the bird is flying down. The sun is setting or rising. Everything seems calm, and this person is, you know, this cherub is totally at peace, you know, for love, and just off dreaming dreams of the future, totally unprepared for what happened. So I don't think Bobby Fuller was. I think he was taken totally by surprise by somebody he trusted. I'm not going to point out specific people, okay? He was beaten up and he had bruises, okay? Blood was found on the car seat, but was it Bobby's blood? We'll ask that question. Was it Bobby's blood? Struggle. I've got the Ten of Wands here, which is a card for struggle. So it could be somebody else who he struggled with. Was it somebody else's blood? Of course, forensically, the best they could do back then was blood type. If he had a common blood type, you know. Was it somebody else's? Yeah, it was. It was somebody he trusted. I wonder what would happen if they still had the samples of that blood, if they ran it through today's databases. possibility that the blood belonged to whoever beat him up, who he had a struggle with. Okay. Now, the next thing was, I do feel like it was pretty obvious that the intent was to set the car on fire. Now, it was driven to the front of his apartment, and it was, they know how the car was there for only a short time. It wasn't there before time A. It was only there from time A to time B, or time B to time C. But Bobby was killed he'd been dead for several hours by the time time B came up. Time A was several hours before the car appeared in front of his apartment. Why drive it to his apartment? Two of Cups. Okay, I'm getting like maybe two of them, and I'm getting like they didn't know he was dead, so they thought if they drove it to the apartment, someone would find him and, you know, he'd be sent to hospital. But then it's like by the time they got there, they realised, oh shit, he's dead. You know, but he'd been dead for several hours, but they didn't realise it. And when they did realise it, they thought, oh, we'll drive him back to the apartment and it'll just look like he got in a brawl, drove home and died. But then there's something happened that panicked them. So why douse him in petrol? I've got the Six of Wands. And it's like trying to beat the system. Whoever thought, they thought that maybe if we douse him in petrol, it set the car alight, you know, they might think it's all an accident or something, or yeah, they thought that, oh well, it's like they might be able to cover up what really happened. So it was opportunistic. Were they intending to set the car alight? Yes, they were. To make possibly Bobby, possibly any evidence that they were there, anything in the car that might point to them, magically disappear. But why didn't they? And I'm thinking to people here, why didn't they? Why didn't they set the car alight? I'm getting panicked. I'm getting, oh my God, someone's coming. No, someone's coming. That's what I'm getting. Panic. Yeah, running away. Turning and getting out of there as fast as they can. Why? Someone was coming. Someone was coming. They hadn't gotten there and they weren't seeing them, but they knew if they were seen. I've got the Six of Pentacles. Evening up the scales. Someone coming. It's because someone was... Okay. They honestly thought someone was coming, and they possibly heard a group of people talking or something. Oh my God, if we stay here they'll see us, we've got to go, we've got to run away, because they'll see us and then they can point us out and we'll end up in jail for the rest of our lives. So they panicked. They got away with it. Do the police have a suspect? they've never been able to build a case against. I have heard that Bobby Fuller was hang on for a minute. I'm not 100% sure if I remember this right, but I have heard he was from a rough part of town. He knew some pretty rough people. He could have pissed the wrong person off. All I know is he was not expecting it. It was out of the blue, and it was someone he trusted. But do the police have a suspect that they've never been able to prove a case against? The person's dead. Yes, they thought they knew who did it, but they just couldn't prove it. Yeah, they couldn't prove it. They couldn't prove it enough to take it to a court of law. Was there a cover-up in any way? These are like a lot of major arcana here with the death card. The person who did it or was behind it is gone. But they thought they did know who did it, but they couldn't prove it. The processes weren't there enough. Or were they? Was there a cover-up in any way with Bobby Fuller's death? Bigger picture. There was more to it than there seemed. Possibly, yeah, some payoff. So there might have been some cover-up. Yeah, someone who had a lot of strength and a lot of power in that industry. So yeah, there was more to it than there seemed. There was at least a cover-up on some level. Anyway, will we ever find out who killed Bobby Fuller? There we go. We've had a lot of major arcana coming out of this deck. I've been drawing them at random from the fan deck, and yes, eventually we will. A long time, but it's a major arcana. That would be nice for his family. Now, looking at these cases, especially, I mean, I wasn't even born at that time. I was born a few months later. I'm aware that family members are still around and still alive, possibly. No disrespect is meant for any family member. As always, when looking at these mysteries. But sometimes you do want to ask those questions. And we hope that eventually the answers will come out. Will the answers come out eventually? Well, the Justice card said they will. And so does the Hierophant, which is the institutions and the processes. Records. There's something in records, somebody's records, a police officer's records or something, in files and records, something there that says who did it. But they decided not to, because they decided they didn't have enough. But I think it was an opportunity was, you've got to stop. Okay. Thank you for joining me for this mystery tour. I hope you've enjoyed it. I will be doing more. And I'm sorry it's taken so long to do this one. Love you all. Bye-bye.